Since the public test of Tower of Fantasy, the plot of Asperia has always been criticized. Translator's note, here refers to the Chinese version. There's nothing wrong with that. Because of the imitation of Tower of Fantasy to soul-like game. At the beginning, it is not easy to find out some hidden plot that shows the cruelty of post-apocalyptic days in TOF. So, let's take you to experience one of hidden missions in TOF. Come to Hycros. This is Dr. Joaquin's place. You can see that there is nothing on this box. Next, we come to Banja's dock. When you get out of the dock, you'll find a hyena camp in the distance. There is an NPC near here. There's nothing around him, too. But this is actually a series of hidden missions. There are real hidden missions in Tower of Fantasy. There won't be any hints. And it won't be in the mission menu. The trigger of mission depends on careful search and strategy. Next, I will take you to experience time traveler mission that many people don't know about. The trigger point of the first part is in the Astra Omnium Tower. There's an NPC called Ron at the back of the tower. If you talk to him, you'll find he's looking for something. At this time, you will find a blue note on the stone next to him. The first part mission is triggered after the interaction. Birthday present. It is recorded in the notes that when the Omnium is not yet used. There used to be a prosperous village here. This period was the Pion Park period of the colonists. A bounty hunter and his wife live in the village. Talk to NPC to learn more. He is a historian. Entrust us to look for some clues. And then we found electronic devices and metal fragments. Electronic instruments are weapon parts. We learned through conversation that not many people used weapons in the past. Those with weapons are called bounty hunters. Metal fragments are the materials used to build the Omnium Tower. Pay attention to the information here. It is the government that recruits workers and subsidizes them. The government and Hycros are two different things. Before the cataclysm, the real ruler was the old federal government. On the other hand, Hycros is a scientific research organization formed by scientists with top technology. But all this has changed after the cataclysm. We all know that it was Hycros who initiated the second time retracement. As a result, it led to cataclysm. After that, Hycros appeared in front of the curtain. Developed suppressors to save mankind in the posture of a savior. At the same time, established absolute rule. Xiao Feng has always compared the old Federation to Hycros. The contest between imperial power and theocracy. Friends who have seen 2F's epic know that. In the experiment of the ruin, Hycros was divided into two factions. Those who support the Omnium and those who do not support the Omnium. Those who do not support the Omnium are treated as experimental subjects. Hycros also completed the internal unification of ideas. It can be said that after this cataclysm, the one who benefits most is Hycros. Not only come from behind the scenes to the front of the stage, but also uses suppressors to establish a dominant position. The old federal government was also replaced. It is not too much to call the cataclysm a coup. Looking nearby, we found a shabby electronic dog. At the same time, there is an aberrant. Since more than 40 years have passed, this aberrant may just be required by the mission. I won't discuss it. Part the electronic dog to NPC. He will tell us that this is the product before the cataclysm. But the battery is damaged. We need to go to the shelter for help. Ludwig helped us solve the battery problem. Go back to NPC and you can summon the hologram. The two figures here can be talked alone. The conversation of a middle-aged man is exactly the same as Ludwig. But I didn't find a prototype for the pregnant woman in Astra. If anyone has seen this dialogue, NPC can provide a clue to me. After trade part the plot, you will find out. This is a precious image recorded by an electronic dog. Records the gifts the bounty hunter bought for the unborn child. Electronic dogs are developed and made by government scientific research departments. This refers to Hycros. At that time, it was just an affiliated scientific research organization. Finish watching the video. NPC says it's far from Tower of Fantasy. The radiation from the cataclysm is not strong. This goes back to the Omnium radiation and the virus. In fact, to part the internal test period, there is a more accurate description of the aberration caused by Omnium radiation. But Xiaofeng also said, this theory is untenable. Radiation is produced by the Omnium. If there is Omnium, there will be radiation. According to the copywriting description, why do only Tower of Fantasy produce radiation? And the Omnium for daily use has no radiation? Some people will say that it has something to do with the amount of Omnium. Then here comes the problem. The power plant has a lot of electricity. Household electricity consumption is very small. But won't household electricity kill people? This theory won't stand up to scrutiny. Omnium and radiation must exist at the same time. It is impossible to have only Omnium without radiation. And that's why there is the theory of companion virus. The first mission has come to an end. At the end of the story, the hunter puts the electronic dog on the bedside. Illuminate the smiling faces of husband and wife. This is a very harmonious and warm picture. But it's not right to put it with the Omnium. Because the Omnium is the culprit of the aberration. It was the cataclysm that caused the aberration. Or is it caused by the excessive use of Omnium? Are you a little terrified? The plot here can only describe life before the cataclysm. It's not dark. The next story will be dark. Return to Banja's deck. You will find the same notebook next to NPC. The second part of the mission can be taken up. What is told here is what happened after the cataclysm. People's lives are no longer happy. It's about when the boy looking for food. He saw a face that didn't look like a human. Next, talk to NPC. He will entrust us to find a diary. Easily kill the hyenas. We found a shabby note. NPC told us it was her notes. Who is she? Remember the boys and monsters mentioned in the mission? Actually, it's NPC in front of us and her. The story takes place after the cataclysm. She has an ugly face, with 6 fingers. This is already an anomaly before the cataclysm. After the cataclysm, people were very afraid of aberration. She was expelled from the village unsurprisingly. She already had no hope for life. At this time, the boy broke into her house because he was looking for food. With the memory of her dead brother. She took in the boy. The boy also brought her the last happiness. But that's it. The seaside is her brother's grave. Actually, there's nothing in it. Because her brother was eaten by aberrated beasts. And she also had to go to the village to purchase because the suppressor had little energy. But in the previous event, she lost the blanket wrapped around her head. She can only make do with sheets. It also caused a tragedy. The story is not complete. Let's make up the ending. She left the broken house and came to the village. Unfortunately, the sheets wrapped around her head were blown away. A villager saw her, then pointed at her and shouting at monster. The screams attracted more people. The villagers took up arms and surrounded her. Someone recognized her as the monster that was driven out. People think she's unknown. Think she's the one who caused the disaster, so screaming to kill her. And she just wants to escape, but can't break out of the encirclement of the villagers. In the chaos, her suppressor was broken by the villagers' weapons. Looking at the villagers shouting around, memories come to mind. From the past to the present, she is what other people call a monster. In that case, just become a real monster as people want. Thinking in this way, her eyes began to go crazy. She took off the broken suppressor. With a wave of the arm, the suppressor was thrown to the side of the road. Her body also began to aberrate. At this point, she just wants to kill everyone around her. Hatred, anger, resentment, a variety of emotions repeatedly emerge. But it all disappeared in the end. She became a mindless aberrant. However, the ending is so ridiculous. She didn't hurt anyone in the end. Was beaten to death by a crowd of villagers. Until the moment of death. She is still what other people call a monster. The boy came to her. No one admitted that she had ever been to the village. They just said that a monster attacked here. Was finally killed by the brave villagers. The boy found a broken suppressor by the side of the road. There's also some energy in it. In an instant he understood. But what can he do? He silently take the energy out and put it in the backpack. Re-embark on the journey of one depart. And now he's back here. He just hoped this story will be remembered by future generations. The world of Tower of Fantasy is dark. In the context of post-apologetic days, everyone is selfish. And more irrational. Is she really guilty? It's her sin to look like a monster? She ended up with a tragic end. On one side is the monster who are kind enough to take in the boy. On one side are the villagers who fear and kill the monster. Who is the good guy and who is the bad guy? The third part mission came to High Crows. There's also a notebook on the box. These 3 missions are triggered sequentially. The mission records a woman obsessed with research. She said she was entertaining angels. And the angel is actually the experimental body of aberration. The conversation with the NPC nearby will trigger the subsequent plot. We have an entrusted relationship with Archon Elric. Not affiliation. The protagonist never thought of him/herself belonging to the District 9. They all take advantage of each other. Adapt said the data involved the technology of the heirs of Ida. Control aberration through the transformation of the human body. Unfortunately, Pepper didn't see it. Otherwise, she can try to save her aberrated parents. We need to go to Banjas to find the messenger. NPC said the files were found in the old machine. And now are sold on the black market. So we went to the black market to find it. There are a lot of conversation branches here. If you get the wrong answer, mission will be an unfinished situation. But you can try and make mistakes again and again. Never try to threaten a black market businessman. It can be seen that the black market is better than expected. The information record is 40 years ago. That is, 2672 AD. The heirs of Ida was founded in 2671 AD. Of course, these are the official announcements of High Crows. In fact, the heirs of Ida appeared much earlier. But in the past, the organization was not large. So they hid in the shadows to carry out activities. What the documents record is the transformation of Angle of Clemency. Male aberrants were also used as experimental subjects in the early stage. But women are more adaptable to technology. This also explains why now all Angle of Clemency are women. It is worth noting that the subject is aberrant. It can be seen that the transformation is broken and stands behind. Aberration before transformation. Surely really fits the bill. The experimental body was implanted with a mind control program. This can explain why when the battle on Tower of Fantasy of Asperia started, the sage regained control of Nemesis. You can tell from the postscript to the last mission. It is the heirs of Ida that women join. She has been studying the technology of controlling aberration after the cataclysm. And called the subject Angel. And the person who comes to handle it is the sage. He took the woman. At present, the most reasonable guess is that the woman is Valkyrie. Frigg does not conform to the scientific research setting. Aegis. Seal is even less qualified. If this woman is still in the heirs of Ida, she must have high rights and status. Of the people we've come into contact with so far, only Valkyrie is the most suitable. Valkyrie's name comes from a goddess in Nordic mythology. Another name is Alias Seeker, responsible for guiding the souls of dead heroes on the battlefield. She is also the god of death who guides the spirits. This is also in line with her setting of screening Angle of Clemency. At this point, the 3-part mission of the time traveler came to an end. Many people think that the plot of Tower of Fantasy is terrible. So they think I overinterpreted. That really underestimates the copywriter. Before that, there was rumors saying that copywriter gets salary only $3,000 a month. Regardless of whether it is true or not, the birth of Tower of Fantasy is comparable to the Final Fantasy. It is the last effort of the game maker. Based on this, it is almost impossible to have mediocrity in the production team. Judging from Xiaofeng's current excavation of the plot, the copywriter has a high ability to control the setting. Asperia's plot is enough logical and relevant. There is also a lot of hidden information. But the world described at the same time is too dark. As one of the branch lines of Meroria said, players are more like puppets. They don't care what they get. And they don't care whether the mission is true or false. They never question the source of the information. Just follow the process once. From this point of view, the protagonist was cheat countless times in Asperia unwittingly. We fooled Shirley for the heirs of Ida. Helped Collidor to cover the artificial island. Helped Dr. Claire retrieve the reverse phase time engine. Helped black market businessmen smuggle special drugs. To help Mr. Kim deal with the hyenas. Helped High Crows break the trap of the heirs of Ida. These things have one thing in common. Players don't know about it. It is clear that we have been involved in so many events. We don't know we've been cheat. What's interesting is that the protagonist him/herself keeps complaining. If you watch the plot carefully, you will find that the protagonist is suspicious of all kinds of conversations. The protagonist is much smarter than we thought. It's just that she thinks it doesn't matter. So what does the protagonist want? Retrieve her own memory. Continue to write her own legend. Tower of Fantasy is essentially an adult-oriented game. This is related to its original design. Apocalyptic and light science fiction. The first game that comes to mind is Borderlands Fate, Radiation, and Tower of Fantasy really draws lessons from these three games. Even now, there are still shadows of these games. The stories of these games are much heavier. Not a naive camp that divides the good from the bad, but with intricate camp opposites and intriguing relationships. This is like an adult-oriented world. But after Tower of Fantasy was invested by Perfect World Company, began to turn to the ACGN style. The characters are made more lovely and cute. All these cover up the dark plot under the painting style. In the Tower of Fantasy, 90% of the character settings are orphans. 90% of the NPC you encounter are missing arms and broken legs. Use the cutest painting style. Tell the most sad plot. Even after Vera, this kind of darkness still hasn't disappeared. On the contrary, there is a bigger conspiracy brewing. Tower of Fantasy is a dark world, and our journey is to find the light. That's all for this issue. Follow Xiaofeng. Take you to experience a different Tower of